Hey friends! We're having technical difficulties, so I'm trying to get it all straight. But I will be so ready to sit down and enjoy it with y'all. Okay, let's see. Can y'all see how red my neck is? This has not been easy. It's been stressful. I think I'm live also on YouTube. I paid all this money for a streaming service to not work. So if you were on a while ago, you saw, you may have seen where I popped, like a video popped on, and then, but there was no video or audio, and so I don't know what the deal is. So I think I'm on YouTube too. I'm gonna move this back just a hair. And y'all feel a little bit high, but let's see if we can get it all straightened out. Which this is why it's nice to have a intro week after we have been in hiatus, you know, for quite a while. Hey Linda! Let's see. Trying to figure out the best place to have everything. Which I know if you're watching on YouTube, I will put the Facebook video version on my channel. I'll upload that because it's higher quality video. But, oh good, y'all are on. Y'all, this was way more stressful than it should have been. And the website went down today. I mean, anybody else feel like it has been a time like that it was not wanted you to do Bible study today? Or is it just me? So, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. Jay is upstairs with Zadie Ann. And it's so quiet, which for me right now feels real strange because, you know, as a mama, you're just not used to that. So, and because I am further away from the camera, I can't read the comments. And so the purpose of me, one of the reasons of having the software was so that I could have my phone stream everything and then have my laptop nearby so I could still read comments and all. So that, of course, is not the case. But maybe I can get it figured out for next week. But I am so grateful that you not only are taking the time to jump on for Bible study, that you're interested. I know there are a lot of people that are new and maybe you've joined the tribe or you found me on TikTok or YouTube or wherever. You stumbled upon me and this is your first Bible study ever, and that is awesome. Tonight is just an intro night, and so we're just going to get our feet wet and put ourselves into the mind space and the concept, so that way as we dig deep and go through 4 stories over the next few weeks, we're able to get into it and get into the meat and potatoes, and we're not just shallowly digging through. So if that sounds good to you, say or give me a thumbs up so I know you're kind of hanging out. And if you're on YouTube, you can always, I don't know if there's like thumbs up or things on there because I'm so new, I have no idea what's going on. I'm so not used to YouTube. But if you just want to drop in the chat that you're excited or sounds good to me, I love to go back, read all the comments and feedback. So maybe you saw, maybe you didn't. I created this little graphic. If you are on YouTube and you're not in the Facebook tribe, go and you can go DM me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll make sure you get this. Let's see if I can get it in focus. It may be too, oh, maybe a little bit too bright in here. I know YouTube can see it better. The light is not quite so bright. But this is just visual for those people that like to have something. So hopefully it helps you. I know Juliana already messaged me and said that she was excited to be able to have this and use it. So if you're checked out and you like it, awesome. As soon as I can figure out what's going on with the website tonight, those of you who ordered a physical copy of the book, you're going to get a digital copy as well tonight, and then you'll be receiving the physical copy in the next few days. But as I mentioned, this is an intro. You don't need it. You didn't need it. And as always, I want you to feel like when you're doing Bible study or you join us for Bible study, having the book is going to add so much to your experience. You're going to be able to dig so much deeper and get more out of it. But maybe if you're not in a place where you can purchase it right now, or you're not catching it, but maybe after we're halfway through, so you only got half, that's okay. You're going to be able to, if you just attend one Bible study one of the weeks, I'm still going to teach in a way that kind of like a good TV show. You don't have to watch the whole season to enjoy one episode. So that's my mentality, because I know what it's like to get behind in whether it's a sermon series or in a TV show or a book club thing. And if you get behind or you miss a week, you feel like you have to kind of throw the whole thing away, or I've got to wait until I have to start over again. And I don't want you to feel that way. You know, I don't want you to feel like if you miss next week, then the whole Bible study is a wash. So join any week that you can. I am going to upload them to YouTube so you can watch at your convenience, and hopefully maybe new people will find us there too. So thank you, of course, for joining and hopping on. But every week that we do Bible study, I do like to open with a word of prayer, and I would love for you to comment any prayer requests that you have in the chat if you feel comfortable with doing so, and I will go back and read through them and personally pray over them. But we also have this kind of philosophy or idea that if you see someone comment a prayer request and you feel comfortable, you know, just liking it or responding to it and joining them in prayer and in community and just saying, I see what you're saying, I hear your heart, I know what you're going through, whatever you feel like you can respond, that kind of community that is built in our Facebook group or on YouTube is only going to allow us to come together more in relationship, but also in faith. And when two or more are gathered, God meets us as well. And in a digital time, community is so important. And I know it can feel uncomfortable and kind of like you're putting yourself out there, but the blessing I know is tenfold, because in a time where we're not able to get close together and we're not able to always meet in person, thankfully we've been doing this online Bible study for quite some time, so it's not a foreign concept to us unless you're new, and it has worked for over 3 years now, which is crazy. So this might be new to you, but it is not new to us. And if you've been here a while, support those and embrace those that are new. So if you are new, I would love for you to say, this is my first Bible study, or I'm new. And if you are a veteran and you're like, girl, I've been to Bible study with you for a long time, like their comment or just say welcome to them, because I know that I'll appreciate it so much, and that is what community is all about. But I am going to pray. I'm going to open it with prayer. It gives me a chance to simmer down, to relax just a little bit, especially after literally my phone is duct taped to my stand because my tripod is broken, and all the chaos of today and stress, which, yeah, I've heard me say it before when we've talked about other difficult topics, that I feel like God makes me have to go through the right on time topic of whatever is happening right before I have to talk about it. So today's been very stressful. I felt very maxed out, and it's going to be on time. I just know it is in my spirit, and so I need the time to simmer down, and that's kind of how I view it. I hope that you will take the time to do the same. So if you feel like before I pray and I stop for this kind of awkward silence, it's just the time to lower your heart rate, lower your breath, and become a little bit more present and focused on the Word and in this time, because there's so many distractions. There's so much going on in life right now, and chaos and noise, and so much speaking into our lives. Taking a minute to simmer down and get it together, it's not surely going to hurt anything. So Dear Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity that we have to come together on Facebook, on YouTube, live on the internet. Lord, thank you for the provision of allowing us to do this before living a digital life and in digital community was the standard, was the normal. Thank you for giving us the repetition and the confidence to know that this can work and that this is fruitful, Lord. I ask that as we take our hearts and our minds and our soul and our feelings into consideration tonight and take an account of our lives, that we're able to be real and honest with ourselves so that we can take an adequate assessment and be able to be present of mind enough to know not only where we're at, but what we need and what to ask for, Lord, because we believe that you're a provider, that you are a comforter, and that you are the God of not only promises, but provision, Lord. Thank you for blessing us with a community, with a tribe of brothers and sisters in Christ that come from all over the world, from every corner of our country, and meet together with your word and in your name. In your name, pray. Amen. Got something in my eye. I am just already feeling it and getting emotional. And there's a cat. Is it, I mean, for y'all that have been around a while, is it not a Bible study if a cat does not make an appearance? So if you're new here, don't be alerted. This one is Kitten Nuggets. Kitten Nuggets has the pink nose. But we are going to dive right in. But we're actually not going to dive in yet with the scripture. We're going to go to the left side of the worksheet. And if you didn't print it out or you don't know what I'm talking about, what I want you to do is to draw a water bottle on your notepad. Or if you're like my mother and you cannot draw a notepad to save your life, then draw just a big oval. That'll be quite fine. Or you could even do a thermometer maybe. But I need you to draw a shape. And I've got a blank one so that I can walk with you through it and hopefully I can get it to where it can focus. I know YouTube you see much clearer over here, but Facebook might have a little bit of a harder time. So I always print. I can take a picture of it for my friends in the tribe and post it in there right after Bible study. You can see what mine looks like. But it should be an easy enough activity that you should be able to walk through it and do it without even seeing my paper. So this is a water bottle, just like, well, the one that was right here. Oh, there it is. A water bottle like you have. Many of you might be sitting with them. That might be your drink of choice tonight, just like this one. So this is the water bottle itself. Shape doesn't matter. So once again, if my mom's watching and you're not artistic, just draw an oval if you didn't print this out. But we're going to pretend that this water bottle is going to be an illustration of our lives. And we're going to take an account of all that goes into our lives and into our spirits and into the makeup of our presence, of our soul. And I know that even sounds really deep already, but trust me, when we get here to the end of the illustration, hopefully it'll be a visual reminder and a visualization of the account or of why our spirit and our need to be present and poured out to God is so important. So I hope you have your pen. I always tell everyone, make sure you've got you a good pen, some highlighters for Bible study, because I love to make a colorful mess on my notes. So I want you to first think back. So if this water bottle is our life, we need to think back just a little bit. And so if you don't mind, in a way of thinking back, I want you to drop in the comment section, in the chat, a song that you remember from your childhood. Now this doesn't have to be a church song. This could be any song. So this could be what you heard on the radio. This could be a song that you learned at a camp. But just type down a song that you remember. And this is just an activity. This is not something you have to put on your water bottle. any song will do. So like for me, there was a song that I remember that played over and over again, and I wish I knew the name of it, but it was by Hootie and the Blowfish, and I can hear it playing in my mind, and so I wanted to write that one down, but I cannot ever think of the name. But it played on Mix 101.5 in my mom's Astro van in the car. So like I can hear it, but I don't know the name of it. And so I was trying to think of another song. And one of the songs that came in my mind was The Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks, which is so funny because it's completely the opposite side of the spectrum. But think about whatever that song is. Type it in the chat. And if you see a song you like, you should always like it and support whoever's typing. But while you're thinking about this, and this is a similar exercise to what I do with people in business, I want you to think about your life at that time. You know, what was going on, what was happening within your family dynamic, your family relationships. Does it bring up good emotions? Does it bring up tough emotions, hard emotions, emotions that you've not processed, or feelings that you haven't tapped into for a very long time? Because the first thing that we're going to have to take note of in our water bottle is drawing a line and writing down some of the events, some of the things that happened. It could be good things, it could be bad things, it could be hard things. Maybe it was the loss of a parent. Maybe it was your parents getting divorced. Maybe it was having to move away from your home at a young age, and you remember that being hard. But I want you to write whatever those things are that you remember in that time as a child, relative in the timeline to that song. So this is not present day, you know, this is having to look back. So write down a couple of those events in your life. So that is in the lower part of your water bottle. Now, I want you to think about your adolescent years. And in the same way, consider events, consider moments, memories, good, the bad, the ugly, the feelings that you had, maybe as a teenager, maybe as a high school student. Once again, it could have been significant in your parents divorcing, or your parents remarrying, moving, you know, maybe you lost a friend when at that age and time where I know sadly, statistically, very possible that just about everyone lost someone when they were in high school that was close to them. Write down, maybe it's the loss of a grandparent, but other significant life things. So that's going to be in your next one. Oh, Zeddy. And I know some of these things may be difficult. Some of these may be hard. Justin and I talk about these things in his life and in my life quite often, because there's something that comes up when, you know, you're reading through a lot of marriage books, because you're having to take assessment of how things that happened in the past affect your life now, you know, in the way that we view the world, in the way that we respond to certain things, how we define and expect things within our marriage. So it's important to take into account. So adolescent years. Now, the last time block that I want you to do, and hopefully you're only at about halfway to 2/3 full of your water bottle, and maybe you're further because you had more events, that's okay, but just know we have more than a couple categories left to go, is adult or young adult to present. And the reason I kind of lump that all together is because we have the formative years when we were younger, our adolescent years when there's a lot of course we know puberty changes, a lot of hormonal changes, a lot of choices that we make at that age are what defined what our life looks like as young adults. And then a lot of what happens in our young adult time span, whether we've been a young adult, post high school, college for 5 years, 10 years, or 30 years, people can have a lot of things happen in that time, and a lot of people can have a short amount of things regardless of how long has passed. So this is young adult to present is what you want to put here. And write those things down. Like, I know for me, one of the very formative things that happened is when Justin's mom passed away unexpectedly. Another thing is, of course, when I found out that I may not be able to have children. That's a note that I would write down. Moving and having, a nervous breakdown is, of course, an event I need to write down here. And then there's also things like how many times we've moved, or the adoption process in itself. Just, that was a major event, a thing that happened. You can write down the fact of the pandemic that is happening. I mean, all those sorts of things. These are all these things that are happening, or kind of your relationship to the external things that's going on in your life, things that you can't control. So after you have those things wrote down, which are kind of your response to things the world has brought to you, and maybe some things that were of your choice. But the next thing is, or group of things, is more internal, okay? So I want you to write down here, and in the next group, health areas of your life. So health can be mental health, physical health, but write down areas that are factors within your life. So, if that's anxiety, if that's depression, if that's arthritis, or cancer, any of those kinds of things, I want you to write them down. And I promise it'll all make sense in just a minute. Okay, now in this next group, I want you to write down, hopefully you've got some room left, after health and checking off mental and physical things that are a part of your life, whether, again, that is something chronic or something you're experiencing right now. I want you to write in this space relationships that are ongoing in your life right now. So just names. It could be your parents, it could be friends, work friends, any of those things. So relationships is next. And these are currently. So these are people that you've probably been on the phone or interacted with in the last year. And then the last thing I want you to write down is current stressors. So what is going on in your life right now that is stressful to you? Or stressful factors. So it could be the pandemic, it could be loss of job, it could be election, whatever it is to you, and it could be different for everyone. It could be financial, it could be, once again, you reiterating your own health issues, or maybe you're a primary caregiver to someone else. But current stressors. And write those things down specifically. Maybe you've got things going on legally, maybe school, work, but whatever is currently a stressor for you. So now, your water bottle should be full or almost full, right? Anybody's water bottle getting full or almost full. But I bet if we were to show our water bottles, and I just put down the title of each on these so that I can take a picture and post it, because I know Facebook's having a hard time, and if somebody wants to see, and you'll just have to forgive my handwriting. But if we showed everyone's, you would see that everyone's would be at a different level, right? We'd all be at different capacities filled of the water bottle. Now, when we have all of these factors, you know, things that happened as a child, things that happened in our adolescent years, things that have happened as we've become adults, we layer in the factors of health, both physical and mental. And then we think about, make sure I get in that order, the relationships we have going on in our own life, the layers of those, and current stressors. If this bottle is representative of our body or our spirit's capacity, it's gotten full very quickly, right? So if you have a pretty full bottle, I want you to drop an emoji, or if you're in the chat and can't do an emoji, that expresses kind of how full it is based on the expression. I'd love to see it. Make sure you're still awake and checking in with us. But I want you to think about this bottle of water, the bottle that you have on your piece of paper, not the literal bottle, that if it is your spirit and your capacity is full, the amount of space that each of these things takes up, right? The roles that they play within our lives. And when you're maxed out and you're at full capacity, there's no room, like in this water bottle, to put anything else, right? And what happens if I try to add anything? Something spills out. But what happens if there were to be an emergency, a sudden death, a tragic accident, an unforeseen election result, or a big financial bill, and life squeezes us? What happens? It makes a mess. You've maxed out. You've hit max capacity, and there's nothing left but for you to get poured out. You're squeezed. Life has become too much, right? Anyone know what it's like to feel like you've been squeezed by life? Maybe it's just me. Maybe in 2020 y'all are doing a whole lot better of feeling like you've taken the time to pour out and fill back up. But for me, I've become more and more cognizant of these areas of my life. You know, I can understand where you're going with this is when you need to pare down on relationships, because in the tribe we've been talking about being smart about friendships and the friends that we allow into our lives, and the fact that we don't need 5,000 Facebook friends. And so you could see how you could pare down there and maybe, you know, set some boundaries. And even maybe you can understand how you could get a better grip of your health, whether that's seek counseling or starting to eat better. But what about these things down below too? You start to see that kind of like within a water bottle, when life squeezes, that water starts to mix up. I wish I was good enough with science that I could have created layers with, you know, like water and oil and a food color so that you could see it all mixed together. When life squeezes, and when it squeezes, those things all kind of come one, or try to become one mixture instead of being separated. And so when things get mixed up and everything in the water bottle is shaken, some of these things may try to come back to the top. Because living in a time or in mental capacity space where everything is maxed out and you just feel like you're overwhelmed and you don't know where to turn, everything becomes discombobulated very quickly. So in this Bible study series, we're going to look at situations within the Bible where people are maxed out in different ways. And we're going to humanize these stories so that we understand not only them in a new context, but see how it is not only relative to our lives, but mirrors our lives today in many ways. But I want you to think of your life as this water bottle. And if you're feeling at max capacity and you've done some of these other things, but you still feel like there's something that's got to give, something's got to drop, and you need extra room in your water bottle, then some of these things that may have happened in your early childhood or adolescence are what we call soul wounds, or I've heard other psychologists call them, like dark spots or places that, you don't want to go to and kind of get buried and you don't want to deal with because they're hard. They're so hard, your brain's kind of black them out, and you only call them up when you have to or someone makes you. Then maybe your water bottle can't be affected by anything here or here yet, or this isn't going to make too big of a difference until one of these is handled, until one of these is poured out and worked through. So tonight is about taking assessment of this water bottle, and we're going to read this passage from Matthew and really looking at our life as this water bottle in a way that can be squeezed, in a way that can become a mixture that doesn't have order, and how the water that should be at the bottom of that bottle can subtly try to come out of the top, or maybe even show itself because of the way life has shaken it. So, we've heard the euphemism, you can't pour from an empty cup, and I've heard that for so long. And I was like, but what if my cup just feels too full? And that was the feeling that I had this summer as I started writing this Bible studies, is I feel like I've got so much going on, and it's not like I don't feel empty. I feel like there's so much I don't know where to start to pour out in order to get the good stuff back in. Does anybody else kind of understand that feeling where you don't necessarily feel empty, but you feel overwhelmed? You feel maxed out. So if you will turn with me in your Bibles to Matthew. And the way that the Bible study is set up in the book is you're going to be looking at an Old Testament Bible study or story every week and digesting it and really digging through and tearing apart kind of, as I mentioned, the humanization of these characters that we kind of looked at in a very detached way for so long, but thinking of them as if we were there with them, as if we were the woman who ran out of oil, But when we go live every week, I'm going to bring you something too from the New Testament. Something that Jesus spoke to the disciples. Maybe it's a parable, maybe it's part of a miracle, but we're going to bring it to the New Testament too. So you're going to get some Old Testament every week through the study, and then we're going to get some New Testament too, because I think that's important. So Matthew 11:25 through 30, and I hope that you'll use that little block to take some notes. But I'm going to pull it up here. Give me just a second to pull it up. But I can't reach sideways. Oh, is that Chrissy? Feel overwhelmed. Oh, me too. Me too. I felt overwhelmed 10 minutes before I was supposed to start this Bible study when the service I paid for didn't want to work. I felt overwhelmed earlier in this week when we were trying to get things done for work, while also I needed to cook a meal for dinner to take to one of Justin's soldiers, and Zadie hadn't taken a nap. So there's overwhelm in those short stint days, and then there's what I call soul tired in the Bible study, where it's a long-term exhaustion, where you've had so many days of compounded overwhelm that you feel overwhelmed and completely poured out at the same time. So if you're feeling that in any kind of way, then I think this Bible study in these next few weeks is going to be good for us to do together, because I'm not going to be speaking out of a place of like, it sucks for y'all that are overwhelmed and I don't know what you're talking about and I have all the peace in the world. This is a Bible study that I wrote out of my own study and research because I was hungry and needed something that spiritually fed me and made me feel like I wasn't crazy, and like God saw me in my overwhelm and in my worry and in my frustration and in my stress, and he met me there. So, you know, that is where this study comes from. This doesn't come from me on the other side of the rainbow and like waving back at y'all like, I've got it all figured out, let me show you the way. You know, we're going to get to walk through it together. So I hope you don't mind that. I hope you enjoy that style. But that's what we're doing. I got so busy talking I didn't even turn my Bible pages. Matthew 11. And I know I was terrible about this last time I did Bible study, and I didn't put my little sticky note. One of these days I'll learn, y'all. At least I'll try. I will try. Okay. 11:25. And if you have a red letter Bible, we know that this is words spoken by Jesus in red. And so we want to keep that in mind. So he's talking to John the Baptist. At that time, Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them to the little children. Yes, Father, for this is what you're pleased to do. All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take upon my yoke and learn from me, and I will gentle and humble in your heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now, I know there was some confusing language and verbiage in there. Some third person talking about themselves. But Jesus is talking to John the Baptist and reminding him that sometimes what we learn in the Bible and sometimes what will be revealed to us in Bible study and in our own independent study of the Word is not to be over analyzed, is not to be over complicated, and that we stress over understanding that sometimes we completely miss the point. But if we would look at the Word with the eyes of children, then it wouldn't be so hard to understand. But he also says that we can't begin to try to use the rationale or understanding of him or of God, because we are not them. But when we're ready and when we ask, it will be revealed to us. But the passage that we're using as our kind of key verses or memory verses, the key verses of this study is 28 and 29. I believe in reading things in context, so that's why I don't just pick those two. I think it's important to see where it came in talking to John. But let's look at verses 28 and 29. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Now, rest is a concept that, one, is hard for me to grasp. But two, it's something that we're going to see what that looks like and what rest means in the Bible through this study. And that rest doesn't always mean laziness, but rest sometimes also means refueling. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Now, yoke is such an interesting word, but yoke, we also see in the verse you probably heard, you want to find someone equally yoked. as a partner. But here we see yoke used as take upon my heart, my soul, what is important to me, my mission, my calling, and I will give you rest. Aspire to have my heart, and I will give you rest. Seek and find alignment with me and the Father, and then you will find true rest. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest in your souls. Now, I don't know about you, but I would kill and pay a lot of money. Now I say kill, but not like kill that person. But I would just die to have that kind of peace in my heart. That it is gentle. I think of it like a wave, a soft, calming blanket. Oh, like it feels rich to me. And as we not only go through this study, but as the study calls for you to reflect upon the condition of your heart and of your soul and take assessment, I hope that you can see the beauty and the beauty in the contrast of how our heart right now doesn't feel gentle or humble. You know, for me, I feel the pressures of a lot of chaos and noise. Yet, when I go to the Word and I seek the quiet time, as I posted on Instagram and in the tribe yesterday about that peace I know can be found, because that is who He is. This is His, not just His job, this is His identity. He is the Prince of Peace. And so the contrast there shows me the work and the potential that has to be done. You know, if I still felt like, if I felt like I was living in peace or in contentment and I was getting close to there, or if I already saw myself as gentle and humble, but was still not content and felt frustrated with my own life, and there wasn't a contrast and there wasn't a gap there, then I couldn't feel the draw or the importance of putting the time in to cultivating a relationship with our Savior. But because I know the contrast is there and I know that there is work to be done, because I look at my water bottle and I see how full it is and how overwhelmed, because as I've been very open and clear about, is I think the relationship category for me in this season of my life is taking up too much room. You know, and in other seasons of my life, there was trauma and things that had happened that I had to go to counseling and therapy to help process through, because it was taking up so much of my capacity. And when so much of our capacity is taken up in margins and in spaces that we're not built for in ways, then it's so much harder for us to do things that we've been called to do, or do them confidently, because our small margin leaves us with a little wiggle room to allow newness, whether that's in relationship, whether that is in purpose, whether that is in new provision, whether that is a new opportunity to grow. You know, there's nowhere for the seed to be planted, because the garden is already full. And so, you know, I hope that through this study, you're able to not only take assessment, and you're not only able to see the contrast between where you are and where you want to be, but I hope that you maybe even see some things that you need to get into alignment, to reprioritize, and to pull out, to prune, so there is room. Because there may be some things, there may be some relationships you can prune, there may be some things in your health that you can prune or take care of pretty quickly to allow for some room. And when we start to allow for some room, it's crazy how that room will allow for more room, right? That it begins to snowball. And so there's one thing that I like to tell my business clients, and I learned it when I was in Mary Kay many years ago, and it's a number that you don't track does not grow, right? So if I wanted to lose weight, I need to know what my starting weight is and keep track of that. I mean, that's kind of common sense. But we don't always take assessment of where we are with our soul or with our spirits, and kind of giving ourselves this checkup and seeing how these factors, these stressors, these traumas, these hard parts of our life are still manifesting in our lives today. And when we don't take assessment of that and we don't acknowledge that, then we don't know how to heal it or to prune it or take care of it. And so that's why it was so important, I think, for this to become a Bible study that was a workbook to help you kind of have to reflect and call upon different times and seasons of your life, to help you walk through and maybe process some hard things or see them in a new light and say, wow, okay, God provided a way out of that season then. I know that He can do it now. So that is where we're headed with this study. You know, we're going to take our water bottles and we're going to hopefully begin to pour out some things while also filling back up with Jesus. So that if we do get squeezed and hard times hit, that instead of these worldly things of our flesh that affect us being what spills out when we get squeezed or when things get shaken up, it's Jesus. It's the Word. It's the gentle and humble heart that spills over and not a mess. So I hope you will join me as we continue to take assessment, to work through what it means, what it looks like to be maxed out, and as we study stories from the Bible where people have reached a maxed out, overwhelmed, frustrated season or event in their own lives, and see how God showed up, how God provided, and also see how God comforted and how God guided. And I think that you will not only be encouraged, but by the end of this Bible study, you will feel equipped going out of 2020 and into 2021, when Lord knows that hopefully it's better than 2020, but maybe part of it being better is us seeing it through a better lens and going into the year with a water bottle, not only that's filled more with Jesus, but has room for new opportunity and new expectation. So I want to close with a little prayer. And if you've enjoyed this Bible study, I would love for you to like the video if you're on YouTube or here on Facebook in our group. And remember, I will upload the video to YouTube. I'll do that as soon as we jump off here, because I know this quality might not be quite as good. And you will be able to watch it and share it with friends. And maybe you've got a girlfriend that's going through a hard season, or a brother, whoever, that just needs some encouragement and doesn't know where to start. Because I feel like as a Bible study teacher and a ministry leader, that not only do we want to learn the Word, but we want to know how to apply the Word. Anybody want to know how to apply the Word? Does that sound good to you? Does that sound helpful to you? So we're going to learn some practical things over the next few weeks. And so I'm also hoping to have some friends to pop in that are in different kinds of ministry and have studied theology and counseling to help us navigate some of the hard conversations that we'll go through. So thank you for joining. We started with a cat and we're going to end with the other one. This is Spock. And if he jumps on this Christmas tree while I'm live with y'all, I'm going to have more capacity for a new pet because he'll be gone. I'm just kidding. Y'all know this Spock was my first baby. So let's pray. Lord, thank you for meeting us in the chaos. Lord, thanks for settling our hearts, for allowing us to have a few minutes in your word, in reflection. Thank you for giving us friends and community and a tribe of people to help us live not only in community but in word with you, Lord. I ask that as we study your word and the Maxed Out Bible study, that you will touch people in a way that only can be described by your power and your comfort and your peace. Lord, as we assess our lives, help us to see the things that we need to prune and pour out so that we have not only more room for you, Lord, but more capacity to serve and love others. Lord, as we feel maxed out and have hit max capacity, I ask that you just wrap your arms around those who need an extra touch of love and comfort tonight. I ask that you give them a little God wink or a sign that acknowledges the work that they're putting in to try and live their life, not only the best that they can, but the way and in alignment with not only you, Lord, but your word. Thank you for the gift that you have given us through a Bible and through such a tool that we can use as a practical handbook for our life, Lord. Thank you for my friends that have joined me tonight. I ask that you bless and to keep them in all that they do. Never pray. Amen. Well, thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for your patience since I was running a tad bit late because I could not figure out the ding dong live streaming service that I paid money for, that it's not working. So I really appreciate that, but we were not going to allow the devil to keep us from doing it, even if that just meant we had to do it 5 minutes after we were supposed to start. But Friday also just is an announcement, not today, but tomorrow, hopefully all the books will have gone out and it will start the sweatshirt sale. So this is, of course, a sale for our little unapologetic shop, and hopefully the website's back up then too, which supports this ministry because like the service we have to pay for to stream, and all the things that allow us to do this together cost dollars. And so if you want to be able to support our ministry and to be able to further this, then hopefully you will join me in getting a sweatshirt on Friday, or a t-shirt, because there'll be some t-shirts too. But I greatly appreciate that. But thank you for watching and following along. I'm so glad that you found me, found our ministry and this group. It means so much to me. So if you're on YouTube, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you don't already. I do think one of the issues with my streaming thing is that YouTube still wants me to have 1,000 subscribers, even though it said it doesn't. So I can go live there. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that, even if you're not going to watch it on YouTube, to help us get to 1,000. We have almost 4,000 tribe members. So if just 1 in 4 people subscribed, we'd already be there. That would be awesome. But thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't tell you how glad I am that we're back together again on Wednesday nights. So I'm gonna hop off here, and that way if people want to be able to rewatch the replay, they can do that. But I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week, and that you take into consideration your water bottle. Like I said, I'll print this one, or I'll post a picture of this one in the tribe in case you want to refill it out or print this out and try filling it out again. Once again, don't judge my handwriting because it's not very good. But thank y'all, and I will talk to y'all soon. Let's see if I can end both of these. Bye, friends.